Hey guys, welcome back to another video here. So for this one, we're going to be doing another comic page. Here's a sketchbook, Game of Thrones, and my awful shitty sketches that make no sense, except for to me. My handwriting's not that bad, you'll see on here. But there's the sketch part with the green pencil. I use a Prismacolor pencil for those. So I'm doing this a little bit different format style. So, because originally I would always have it, like I would do it this way where I would show you like sequences of me doing the process. But now, and then I would add in the like overall look between each process step. So I'm changing it up, so I'm not going to do that anymore. So for this one, we're just going to have process only, and then I'll do like the big reveal like at the very end whenever I have it all together. And then I'm doing a shorts version. Well, I've been doing shorts versions of just like the major steps. So you'll have like the stages. So that'll be a different video, so pick which one you want to watch. It won't hurt my feelings if you just want to watch the shorts. I don't blame you. It's okay. But this is just for anyone that wants to like watch longer video and just see like different processes that people have. So like this is mine. So right now we're just kind of sketching him in. So I haven't like introduced the characters yet, like with the little text boxes, because I know in like comics, every comic you do, you introduce the characters with a text box and like just kind of like give a quick description who they are and their name. That will be coming up here in the next couple pages because I have a way I'm going to do that, just not at this moment. So this is kind of like the prologue, I guess. Not that it really makes a lot of sense right now, but that's okay because we're going to get into like explaining stuff later on about why they're here and whatnot. And they're like kind of like slowly learning about them and just the stuff that they do. So that was the idea for the start of this one because I got some things coming up and you'll meet some new characters and whatnot eventually. Because like here on this page, you actually do meet new characters, and this is the rest of her team. It's like Arlathia's team. It's the rest of them down there at the very bottom, which you'll see the colored version of. So this is just the part where it's just like Haven left, so now Wright's kind of just frustrated, and he's like, "Right, fine, we'll just do the job." He doesn't want to. He doesn't like. This is explained too because they ask about it. But they're just both young males, and they're both trying to make their name in the world. Because they're just recently been upgraded to being in charge of their species, race. Don't full name yet. Because like Wright is a Wrighton, is what I call them. That's what his species is. Haven is called a hive lead. So I mean, there's like other leaders in there, but they're just the youngest of them. So they're both just trying to prove that they can do their job. But you'll meet some other guys later on to explain a bit more about like what actually is happening. It's just right now we're just kind of getting into it, like meeting the character a little bit, getting a little bit of why they're here. Because I'll explain that too about why Arlathia is actually here and why they all showed up. So that'll be a whole story, which will be coming up. So that should be fine. So then I'll start making a little more sense to you guys, and then you'll meet the characters at the bottom too. You'll learn more about them. Like you'll learn more about all of them as we go. It's just right now we're just trying to get into like, a bit of a story. I'm trying to get to the action because I know it's been kind of slow. I think this is page 6. I'm pretty sure. So yeah. So page 6. So the next couple pages we'll be getting more and more into it. I'm also trying to like do more facial expressions. Alright, so now I did the inking part because I don't ever show inking, so I'm like, inking to me is just boring. You're just copying lines. So as you can see, I already colored in right down there. So now we're actually going to color in Arlathia. So I'm going to color in these 2 panels for you, just to give you a quick look at it. The second panel I thought looked better. You'll see why. Especially when I actually do like the colored pencil version. At the very end you'll see. But I just like how the lighting looks. So this is just a quick color laydown. I always do it this way first, just so I can see where the colors are and see where like the lines are. So I know what I'm doing. But yeah, so I just skipped the entire thing of like showing like the whole process just because I think it'll be more interesting and it's just like little tidbits of everything. And like I know some people don't want to see like absolutely everything. It's more or less just give me a little bit and then we'll do the reveal. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I think it's just a better idea. And just makes it a little more interesting, split up the video some. And this stuff is very sped up, by the way. because I actually go a little way slower than this. So these are very sped up because I didn't want to have you guys sitting here for like 2 hours. So I was like, not happening. That's just a way too long of a video to do. I'm also trying to get better at shading, because I know that's one thing I have to work on, so we're in the process of learning that. And I am only using 3 colors now to help make it a little bit lighter, which I think it did work overall, like especially through the colored pencil. I know when I like looking at the final one here, because I know that when I blend them together, because I like to, it does make it darker. But looking at it, like with just 3 colors, it's actually lighter than what I've been doing. So I think it looks better. Wright's still kind of dark, but he's just black, so that's just gonna happen. But it's just like the rest of them are still like on the brighter side, so I think it looks way better. So I'm gonna try doing that from now on, for the comics at least, just so I can help with that. My actual like drawings, I'm still gonna do the 5, because that's just what I like doing. But comic wise, I will stick to only 3. Because overall it makes it look a way, way better. But unless I have to make it like really dark for some reason, then I will go back to doing the 5. But I think the 3 right now is fine. And on the second panel, I know we're jumping back and forth, but the second panel you can see that I am trying to add in a little bit of like lighting. So she's using one of the elements. I guess it could be water or ice. I don't really care. Probably water, because it's more blue. I was trying to figure out what would be a good, because she needs a distraction. So that's one thing that their superpowers are, is that they use the elements. There'll be more explained on that later, but she's very special because I have 16 elements in my world. So she controls all 16, so she's called an elemental. Everybody else can only control 3. There are some exceptions though. Okay, so now you can see I colored my little characters down here. So when I first made them, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that changed in these stories. Like the designs and just who the characters were changed a lot. And then I eventually figured out the colors. So it's almost like the seasons, because you got green, red, orange, and white. So that was my whole thing, was like seasons greetings. Ha. So, and then like even their personalities are kind of based off of what they are. Because like, at the start of the year you got, pretty much spring. So it's a little more mature because it's like the first one up. I know it's still winter, but that also happens at the end of the year. So we're going to go with spring's kind of the first season. So Arlathia is a little more mature. Then you got, summer, which is very fiery and passionate, which is what my girl is over here. You got orange, which a little more hyperactive because like all the colors are changing and stuff. And then you got winter, which is very cool. So I have all their personalities based off of that, which you'll see too. I thought it was a fun idea. I didn't originally come up with it. An old friend I don't talk to her anymore, but a friend I had did. And I asked her if I could use that, and she said sure. So I've been running with that, and I like it. Because it also just fits all their personalities really, really well. I know the colors might be a little bit interesting, but they also work together. Like, I think my orange one, right there in the middle, I think his colors work out the best, because he's orange, a light brown, and yellow. So I think his match the best more than anybody else. And they're just very him. I also didn't do justice here with size-wise, because Wright is huge. Which you'll see. It's just the way I realized, like, afterwards, I was like, I didn't do this properly at all. But you'll see in the next page that Wright is absolutely gigantic. And that means that Haven is way bigger. Because I do based on size, because, like, they're all the same size, like, within their race. That's what they're called. So, like, my 3 down here are called Arlathians. So they're all the same size, like, girls and guys, same size. So then you'll see in the later on as we go with the species, with the races, and, like, the rest of them when you meet them, they get much bigger, but they're still the same size. Like, there's not too much height difference between them. But everybody else, there is height difference. But between each race, there is height difference. Within the race, there is no height difference. If that makes sense. You'll see eventually. But for this one, I'm just going to clear the background really quick. And then I add white on there. Yes. My air sharpener is in the way, and I realize, like, way after. But I add the white in the background to kind of help lighten it up, because I don't want the focus on the background. Like, it's kind of supposed to be, like, a little more blurred. And that's why I don't add any extra detail. Because I'm like, that's not where the focus is at. The characters, however, is where the focus is. So by making them a little darker and I add the detail in, it helps. And there's white on them for like highlight purposes, kind of, because that's how I do my highlights. but they stand out and they're just more bright and colorful than the background, which I think conveys very well. Because for me, that works. And they stand out more, so now you know where you have to look at, and now I can see who's talking. I know it's a little bit further away on the screen, but eventually I will do a closer look, because I kind of realized, I was like, ooh, I should bring this in. So I will. It's just very slow, but this is sped up like 6 times. Because this was a long one. This was over an hour long of me just coloring this. Because I'm like, I gotta have like extreme focus to do all this in one sitting. Because it was a lot. It's 3 characters. They're almost completely full body. I mean, there's not too much more in the bottom. All I really left was their shoes, but I was like, I was not gonna fit them all. So, but it still took me a while. But yeah, I was like, nobody can mess with me. I need extreme focus here. And I did it all in one sitting, so I was very happy. It did take me a while though, because I looked and it was like an hour. I was like, all right. Didn't feel that way, but I was like, well, been here for a while. And we are still learning the coloring process because I'm still like trying to figure out stuff. But it's getting better, I think. But yeah, less colors is actually more helpful. Because I can just do like my base, the actual color, and then one of my darker shading colors. And then I still put black in there just to help. But I'm also trying to do less of the black too. Only trying to put black in like the darker areas just to kind of help make the other areas pop. Especially because the sun is on their right. Is where I was having the lighting at. So I think I did that fairly well. Still need a little bit of practice, but especially on her wings. Her wings aren't the best. But that's okay. Oh yeah. So then like the way I color, I always do the head last. I draw the head first, but I color the head last. I don't know why. I think it's because it's like just the final piece. Oh, and if you also look, every time I do this in sections. Because to me it's easier. Yeah, well now I zoomed in. But for me it's easier to make it go into sections. So that way it's like little baby chunks and it's not just like a huge thing. It's like, oh great. It's like I gotta do all this. No, no, no. We're gonna break this up. So I normally do like one leg, the other leg, probably the stomach, her clothes. And then I got the wings and then the head, and everybody is always done last. Because it's just like the best part, if you will. And if I mess up, I mess up. Oh well, it's okay. But I don't know. I know everybody else likes to do the head first because they're like, in case they mess up on the head, they could start over. But I'm like, no, we're gonna go all in here. Yay! Now we're on to the second one. Woo! Moving along here. Oh yeah, my pencil was too short, but I was like, I have extenders, but I was like, I don't feel like putting them into extender. I probably should have. It would have been easier to hold, but it's okay. It's all fine. I know, and then like the orange and the brown are relatively the same, so I gotta be careful about what goes where. Because I think so I don't mess up. Because I'm like, yellow's easier, but yellow's also tricky at the same time. 'Cause I know I made the yellow a little dark in the shadows, but again, we're working out the kinks. I'll figure it out eventually. Because I know whenever I blend it, it kind of drags. But that's okay. But yeah, you can see here I did his one leg first. Now I'm doing the other one. I just like the chunks. It just makes it easier. And then yeah, every time I do the chunks, I just stick with one color, finish that one off. I'll do the next one. That's also why it's helpful for me to do the color laydown first. So that way I can kind of just stick to my little things. And it's not always the same. Like the same. If I color one chunk, it might not be the same the second time. But that's okay. It's just easier for me to break it up and just kind of focus on one area at a time. So I know that's also easier to just break it up into chunks versus looking at the entire thing. Chunks is easier to deal with because now it's like it's just a little bit of progress each time until we can get up to the bigger progress. Then we get the whole thing finished, and it's nice. Because I know some are kind of just like they just kind of go all in and just do everything, and I'm like, no, that's too much. It's just easier just to break it up, especially on a comic page when you gotta do several panels and they're all like sometimes like full. Oh yeah, it's easier just to break it up and just do one section at a time. We're almost done with him, and then we'll move up top. I know, I'm like, I don't want to say their names yet, but I'm like, I probably should, but I don't want to. I'd rather wait. But you'll learn about them soon enough. Well, I guess I can say a little bit about them. So the red and the orange one are siblings. They're brother and sister. So every kid, everyone has two kids here. That's just how I have it. Always a boy and a girl. Yeah. So the way I'm doing it is I haven't quite decided. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, so mom and dad, generally two different animals. Take an animal, it doesn't matter. It could be the same species or not. It doesn't really matter because like you got a bat and a dog. It's okay. Um, color wise, see. I don't know what I want to do because on some of them it's kind of like the son takes after dad, daughter takes after mom, or sometimes mom takes after dad, or daughter takes after dad, and then son takes after mom. So I'm like, it doesn't. That's why I'm like, what do I want to do? I might do the reverse. So I guess technically my orange guy looks like his mom. I think I might just do that. I think it's a little more interesting, just kind of flop them. So sons will look like moms, and then daughters look like dads. Color wise, however, is reverse. So sons will have the colors of dads, and daughters will have that of moms. But their third color, so like that, like on him, for example, would be brown. That comes from mom, and the purple comes from dad for her. So I think that's kind of how I was doing it, because I'm like, to me, it's kind of interesting and just kind of like mix and match. We're on the third one. Oh my goodness, we're almost done. Sorry, I'm just so excited. They're almost finished, and y'all can see the full thing. It's gonna be so exciting. Just because I went and look at the one panel at the very top, because I'm very proud of that one. I think she turned out really well. So I think I'm gonna. But anyway, back to colors. I think that's what I'm gonna do because I've been deciding that, but I think that's what I want to do because it just makes it more interesting and just kind of shows like, yeah, they're their kids. So the white one, he does have a sister. She's just not in the group. She's like just her own thing. Because Arlathia isn't really like part of them. You'll find out eventually what I mean. So, but the white and the red are dating. And then the orange and Arlathia are dating. So it's just her little main group. Her best friends. But I love dogs, so I'm like, obviously my girl had to have a dog as her boyfriend. So I got two of them. One's a little brat, and the other one's just old and senile. You know how they get. Yeah, young and troublemaker, old and senile. That's what we got. But I think that's kind of normal for everyone with different age dogs. But they all got their own quirks and stuff. You also see their fighting styles too. Because, like, Arlathea is gonna. I mean, Arlathea is kind of more the powerhouse, but she's also got quills. So she's like a mixture of like everybody. And then my red one, obviously hers will be flight. Orange one's gonna have a speed on him because he is a greyhound. Not that I did that very well, but he is. They have mutations too, so you'll see it more in the mutations. And the white one, because he's a cat, it's more about jumping. So you'll kind of see how that all comes into play with their fighting styles, which I was trying to make them like special. Because I'm like, they're all different, so they all need to be different. So that's what we're gonna do. But that'll be coming up here soon too, so you'll get to see that. So we'll have a lot more action coming up, I promise, because trust me, I feel bad. But I'm like, we gotta build. Because I was debating on if I just want to go right into it or not, but I was like, I want to explain a tiny bit of why they're here. I mean, obviously, like the red gem, you don't know what that is yet, but you will. Well, actually, I already told you. It's a fire element. But you'll get to learn more about the fire element, because that's going to be coming up here in next couple panels. So that'll be exciting. Oh, we're almost done. And then you'll get to see the whole reveal of the entire page. And it finally inked again to add in the detail. So I think when I do that second inking, it just kind of pulls it all together. And it just makes it look a lot better. But again, we're still like trying to find the style. But after this, I'm going to start adding in lines first, like everything, to help color better. And I'll just have to reline it whenever I'm done, which is fine. But I think it'll just help with like the fur patterns and whatnot. Because some stuff I do put the lines in initially, others I don't. But we'll start putting the lines in just to help. Because I think it'll make it look a little better. Because like I'm doing a new drawing now and it's kind of helping. Which you'll see that eventually. That'll be the next video. Oh, and here we are. So that very top one on the right, I like how that looks because of the colors. I think that turned out really, really well. So this is me just kind of showing you the close-ups and stuff so you can kind of read the words and everything. But I think that looks really good. Obviously still some work, but for like not doing that very often, I don't think it looks too bad. Alright. So this last one I'm just kind of going in order. And that's it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.